been a little while since I've done one of these videos, but I'm going to be sharing with you exactly where each of Emily and my properties are located, and we're going to be pulling apart the numbers. We're going to be looking at the valuations, rough debt levels. I'm not going to be giving you my bank details or my tax file number for that matter, but we're going to be pulling apart the numbers from an asset point of view, liabilities point of view. What does the equity look like in the current property portfolio? We're even going to look at some rough cash flow numbers. So what is the total gross rent on the current property portfolio? What is the total gross interest bill? And then we're going to hypothesize about what I'm going to do with the property portfolio moving forward. And what's my plan? Should I buy some more assets? Should I sell down? Should I do something in between? Let's break it all down in today's video. So I've put together some half decent looking slides. Emily taught me a lot of what I know around creating things that look pretty. She did all our colors and branding for our business purpose property. But this is my 2025 property portfolio breakdown. And if you want to learn more about my journey, go over to purposeproperty.com.au and click on About, and it will tell you a bit more about Emily and my backstory, me being a chartered accountant, and exactly how we got started in our property portfolio. But this is a summary of where we are today. Now, before I actually dive into the numbers, I need to take a moment to say, hold on a minute. Why on earth would anyone share this, online or on YouTube? Why would you do that? Now, the reason is we've always been transparent on the YouTube channel. Emily and I, when we started the YouTube channel, we tried a few times in 2019, and then we really got going in 2020. And every year we're sharing our renovations, we're sharing the numbers on our property deals, and exactly why we were doing things a certain way. Now, there's lots of ways to, as the phrase goes, skin a cat. There's lots of ways to go about building a property portfolio. And this is just one way. The way Emily and I have done it is a certain blueprint and a certain method, value adding, looking to buy at the right time, taking a mid to long-term perspective, but also forcing value and refinancing and pulling out equity and growing our day job incomes to service more debt at the right periods of time. And so the reason I share this video with you today is not to brag. It's not to say, look how great I am, look how great Emily and I are with our property portfolio and what we've done. It's to be open and honest with you. This is where we are. We are so blessed to be where we are, and we've worked really hard to build this property portfolio to give ourselves more choices. And that's what it's always been about for me. It's about more choices. It's about giving myself the opportunity to work with people who are the right fit for me and our business. It's giving me the opportunity to spend more time with my kids, to give them the time that they need, to look after my body better, and to plan for a better future, to have good holidays, and to spend money on things that matter. I have always been probably a little bit against, overspending. There's a few guys out there that love their fancy cars and fancy holidays. For me, the money, or creating this wealth and looking to create this passive income, which we'll break down those numbers very soon, is about giving myself and my family more choices. All of this at the end of the day is only temporary. You can't take it with you when you die, but hopefully you get some value out of today's video and understanding how our portfolio is set up and where we're at the moment and how you can apply this to your own journey. So that's the reason I share this today. So what are the key metrics we're going to look at? Now, the chartered accountant in me, because I am a chartered accountant, I'm still a fully registered chartered accountant. And I used to be an auditor, and then I worked in the commercial space in property and development as a financial controller and group accountant. So the accountant in me wants to look at the balance sheet of the property portfolio and a high level of the P&L. Now, like I said, it's not going to be all the nitty-gritty numbers, but the key numbers we're looking at today are the total property value, which is somewhat conservative. Total debt, we're going to take a look at a ballpark number. The net portfolio value, otherwise known as equity. The gross annual income, so how much is the property portfolio generating in terms of total annual income? What is the average interest rate at the moment across all the debt? What is the total interest expense, which is basically just the interest rate times the total debt? And then what is the net income after interest expense? So I'm not going to go through rates, insurance, and all those other costs. We're just going to look at interest expense and total income today for the purpose of this video. Now, you can see on screen, this is the key spreadsheet. And this is looking at some key figures. So the property, the type, year purchased, value, income, gross yield, some other details, loan to value ratio, interest rates, equity, and interest only expense. So first property on the list, Kelvin Grove, Queensland. Now, Emily and I bought our first property in 2018. And we saved around $66,000 at the time. We used the First Home Super Saver Scheme, all the grants and concessions available to us, and we bought our first property for $801,000 or $802,000. Now, the key thing about this property was we renovated. We added value to this property, to force value, to help us jump into property number 2. So we bought that property for $800K. Where are the numbers sitting now in 2025? So you can see it's now an investment. It used to be an owner-occupied residence. We bought that property in 2018, and a conservative value is around that $1.9 million. The property generates around $98,800 a year, and that is a 5.2% gross yield on the current market value. The loan balance is at $882,000 or 46.45% LVR. The interest rate is 6.74%. And so that would say that the equity in that property is around $1 million, and the interest only on that deal costs about $60,000 a year. So you bring in around close to $100K, and the interest alone on that property before other expenses is about $60K a year. Now, some important things to note is that that debt balance is just an average. So I'm not going to tell you my actual debt balances. I'm not going to tell you the exact numbers. This is just 46.45% will apply to all the properties. So just take that with a grain of salt. I will tell you the actual interest rates that we're paying. And these are genuine numbers. So this is what the ATO will see. These are real numbers, and they can be verified by my accountant, Derek, who's also on YouTube. Check out Derek Nolan. He's an awesome guy from 12 Chartered Accountants. And even me as an accountant or a chartered accountant uses an accountant to make sure that all my figures are correct when I lodge them with the ATO in any given year. Now you can see that property close to $2 million. So bought for 800. It's been 8 years, and it's just over doubled in that time. Now, Kelvin Grove is an interesting one because I could sell that property and release some cash and release a lot of debt as well, or keep that property out into the Olympic Games because I think it's prime for some Olympic Games growth. So that's something to consider moving forward. Now, the next property on the list isn't even here because it's sold. We bought the Baby Queenslander, if you've been following the YouTube channel, and that property was located in Everton Park, so it's no longer here. So that leads me to property number 3, which is actually at the bottom of the list, which is Green Slopes, which is our raise and build project where I'm sitting right now today. Now, we bought this property for $681,000. We probably spent about $50,000 to $60,000 on the initial renovations. And we've spent a lot of money, close to $800,000, even more than that, $850,000 doing the raise and build project. That puts us at a cost base of, say, $1.6 million. So let's take a look at the current numbers. So we bought the home in 2020, and $2 million is probably spot on for the current market valuation. You can see that it doesn't bring in any income, so 0%. Debt using the average LVR of 46% is $929,000. Again, not the actual balance, but just using an average of 46% across all the debt. Now, the interest rate on our own home is a little bit sharper at 6.19%. So if you've not got an interest rate on your own home that's a bit sharper than your investments, have a chat with your broker, have a chat with your banker, and see if you can sharpen the interest rate on your own home. Because typically, that's what they'll do for you if they're at the bank. It's a bit silly because they're both properties, and technically the investment property is bringing in income and your own home's not, but they always will give you a better rate on your own home. So that will give us equity of $1 million, based on the weighted average LVR. And just for me to own this home, based on the debt level that's calculated there, it's about $57K a year, so just over $1,000 a week. And that leads me into number 3, which is Coffs Harbour, New South Wales. Now, Coffs Harbour has a really special place in my heart because it was a really exciting time for Emily and I. Our business was exploding. We'd just been in business for about a year and a half, and we were making some big leaps in our property portfolio too. Now, we bought the unit block in Coffs Harbour for $1.4 million. And we actually bought the property sight unseen because of my experience as a chartered accountant. And Emily and I at that point in time had 3 properties. We had Kelvin Grove, we had Everton Park and Greenslope. So we had 3 blue chip houses in Brisbane. Coffs Harbour for us was a step towards the end game of our property portfolio. So we paid $1.4 million and the gross yield at that time was around 5.5%. But we knew that we could increase the rents. So they were renting for about $1,400 a week. And we're able to increase those rents significantly to where they are today. So let's take a look at the numbers for Coffs Harbour Unit Block in 2025. So the property is an investment, was bought in 2021. The current market valuation comfortably sits around $2 million. The annual income is $101,400, a gross yield around 5.07%. Again, LVR averaged across the entire property portfolio is 46%. The interest rate, 6.72%, which is fantastic for a unit block. And that is a big shout out to Nevada and the team from Cube Home Loans who have been able to help us refinance this property and get a better deal. Over the years, we've been able to access equity from each of these deals, from Kelvin Grove, from Coffs Harbour, Greenslopes, and previously Everton Park before we'd sold that property. And that's how we were able to buy Coffs Harbour. If you go way back into the YouTube catalogue, I break down the exact purchase price numbers of the Coffs Harbour property. And I've had a few people say they want more details on the Coffs Harbour. So maybe I'll do a separate video in the future. If you want that, leave a comment down below if you do want a specific unit block breakdown, talking about the past and the future of that unit block purchase in Coffs. With that property, we went down and did a renovation only 12 to 18 months ago. And Emily and I were really excited about Coffs because it brings in that $100,000, which is a magic number for us. And knowing that if we held that asset for a long period of time, the rents would slowly increase with inflation, the debt would slowly decrease, and in 10, 15, 20 years' time, it's a solid brick asset located really well, 2 kilometres from the water at Jetty Beach in Coffs Harbour and a couple of k's from town. So it's just that kind of asset that is buy, set, forget, hold forever. Of course, you're going to have maintenance and you're going to have some tenant disputes over the years, but that's why you put a quality manager in place, and we use PRD Coffs Harbour, which have been very good for us over the years. And so that's where that property sits at the moment, bringing in $100,000, costing around $62K a year in interest. And yeah, really a deal that I'm very happy with and happy to hold on to. So the next property number 4, these are moving into our recent purchases. So this is Bray Park, otherwise affectionately known as the Bray Park Bomb. Now, we bought this property in the middle of 2024. We paid $640,000 for Bray Park. Current market value would be around that $950,000. The reason that is a fair bit higher than the median, which probably sits around that $750 to $800K, is we're building a granny flat. We're probably spending about $150K building a studio, separate, complete space granny flat with its own new kitchen, new bathroom, new back deck area. And that's going to rent for around that $350, even upwards to $400 a week. So for $150K spend, getting somewhere between $350 to $400 a week. For the house, you're getting about $550 to $600 a week. So you're getting close again to that 5% gross yield on the current valuation, which leads to $46,800 a year of income, 6.9% interest rate, so not as sharp as some of the other options, and $30,000 a year in terms of interest. Finally, we've got Shayla Park, which is another very recent purchase. Purchase price was $855,000. Current value sitting around that $900,000, so not a massive amount of growth, in the last 6 months, but we bought well and there's strong demand because it is a big block size, and I think it would easily resell for $900K based on recent comparables. The yield is quite low, $31,200 a year of annual income, 3.47% gross yield, so the weakest of all the lot. But that yield can come right up with the ability to spend about $200,000 to $300,000 on a granny flat, looking to get $500 to $600 a week increase in rent in the future with that secondary dwelling. Current interest rate is sitting around 7.74%, and that's because we're using an alternative lender to extend our borrowing capacity as business owners, and again, interest only around $32,000 a year. So you can see at a snapshot that the income on that property doesn't even cover the interest, let alone other expenses on that property. Whoa, so take a big breath. I mean, that is probably a bit of data to unpack around years purchased, current valuations, income, debt, interest rates, equity, and the cost just on an interest basis. But let's summarize those figures and take a look at the absolute holistic view of the property portfolio in 2025. So as you can see on screen here, we've got our balance sheet and our high-level P&L. So using the conservative estimates, you could get a lot more if you went through sales agents. And you could be a lot more conservative if you wanted to on a fire sale value. But using what I would say are fairly conservative estimates based on market values of the properties, it sits around $7.75 million. Total debt is sitting around $3.6 million. Net portfolio or equity is over $4 million based on those valuations. Now we move to the P&L. Gross annual income sitting at $278,000. The average interest rate across the property portfolio is 6.86%. Interest expense, $242,000 based on 3.6 mil times 6.86%. And that gives you net income after interest expense of $36,000. Now, we're not going to calculate today rates, insurance, utilities, maintenance, repairs, and land tax. It's a lot to break down, and to be frank, I don't need to give you all that level of detail. I'm sure you could guesstimate what those numbers would be and how negatively geared the property portfolio is from that point of view. Now, some big things to consider is I do include our own home in the property portfolio. In my opinion, my own home is an asset as part of the property portfolio. It doesn't necessarily derive an income because it's not being rented out, but it is an asset that can be leveraged off. It is capital gains tax free. There can be significant value add if you want to spend money and renovate and refinance and pull out equity if you have the serviceability. So to me, we've refinanced our own home plenty of times, 3, maybe even 4 times over the years, pulling out different amounts of equity over the years and separating the loans that way to create deductible and non-deductible debt. And so that is included in those numbers when you look at the total asset value and you look at the income and expenses. It does include the running costs of my own home in that total portfolio view. So if you took that out, the property in the investment property portfolio would look a lot better, to 5.7 million, and you take out 57K of interest expense. So that's something to consider in terms of the numbers. Now, this is not liquid cash. So when you look at an equity number on a balance sheet, that's the important thing you need to understand. This is the accountant in me talking. You need to understand that whatever the number is on a balance sheet, 3, 4, 5 million of equity, that's not money that you can go to Woolies and Coles and buy a bottle of milk with, You need liquidity. And so you either need cash sitting in offset accounts, or you need the cash flow coming through for the property portfolio, going through your personal or your trust tax returns, and then using those funds to live off. Now, the idea for me moving forward, and this is going to be the interesting part moving forward, is what am I going to do? These are the 2025 figures. Do I want to go to 10 million? That was one of the goals I spoke about in the last 12 months. Or am I content? And am I going to sell down? Maybe I should sell Kelvin Grove, or maybe I should just sell Shayla Park, even though it was a recent purchase. Sell that once it hits 12 months and pay down some of the debt and just live off some more cash flow. The honest response for me is, it's a journey. Property portfolio like this is an absolute blessing that Emily and I were able to build it to where it sits today. And it's been a lot of hard work, a lot of time going over the numbers, making sure we're structuring things, and all those 1%ers. That's the biggest thing I could say to you is 1% across every area can make a massive difference in the final outcome. For me, it's about creating those choices. So moving forward, if I've seen some guys go to 10, 20, 25, 30 million in terms of their property portfolio, but their business is making them $1, $2, $3, $4, $5 million a year of cash flow. And so for them to have a $20 million portfolio, they need to service that debt, and they're servicing it with the cash flow from their business. And I'm certainly blessed with how Purpose Property is going and the amazing, wonderful clients that we can help here in the Brisbane market. But I don't know if I want to, big is not always better. And I've been having conversations with people recently about more is not always what's best for you. There can be quality over more. And so moving forward, I'm not looking to acquire any more assets in the next 12 to 24 months myself. Emily and I aggressively purchased in late 2024. You can see that we bought Bray Park on the north in Moreton Bay, and we bought Shayla Park on the south in Logan City. And so in Brisbane, that gives us 2 houses in the inner middle ring. You've got Kelvin Grove and Greenslopes. Then you've got 2 on the outer ring. You've got Bray Park and Shayla Park. And then we've got a completely different asset play in Coffs Harbour in New South Wales. So in my opinion, although we're quite dense on Brisbane, we've got a very good diverse range of locations and asset types and price points. We've got a very strong cash flow for the value of the property portfolio that we've got. And so I'm likely, in this next 12 months not to do a whole lot. I'm just probably going to sit where we are today and build up the offset accounts, build up the buffers, and potentially look to sell in the next 5 to 7 years. My gut feel is to potentially look to sell Culvin Grove around 2030. Emily and I had talked about that. It's a very big home, hence the yield that it brings in. Because it's a big home, it brings in some stronger rent. But it has a lot of deferred maintenance. It needs a lot of love and care, and it's just a property that's going to require work from year to year, and that could be $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 of maintenance repair jobs as time goes by. So for me, I'm thinking of sitting on the asset base at the moment. In the next few years, who knows? Maybe I want to buy a commercial property or buy another unit block in another state, maybe diversify that way, buy in a major regional town. I've always thought Port Macquarie is an interesting area or things like that. So there's other locations that I could look at. But at this point in time, I'm backing the Brisbane market. We've got over $5 million of assets here in Brisbane, and I'm looking at this midterm trajectory of growth and being very bullish on that potential the next 3, 5, 7 years. And so I'm likely to sit on my hands, wait till I get the next wave of strong growth, then maybe release an asset or two, and then the portfolio will be in an even stronger position at that point. And you want to time your capital gains tax as well. So if you want help to go to the next level, you can book in a free strategy session with myself at purposeproperty.com.au. If you're looking to buy your own home or an investment property here in the Brisbane market, myself and the team can help you along that journey to help you buy the right property for the right price in the right location. We are a local area expert. We only buy in the Brisbane region, covering across 5 councils: Moreton Bay, Brisbane City, Redlands, Logan City, and Ipswich. So if you're looking to buy in the Brisbane region and you want to have a chat with me, head over to purposeproperty.com.au to book in a free chat. In addition to the buyer's agency, Emily and I have created a course tailored to Australians looking to build and scale a multi-million-dollar property portfolio. The course covers a step-by-step process in helping you go through that process of starting and building that portfolio, going through financing strategies, how to scale, how to negotiate, how to find the right deal specifically for you and your situation. So if you're interested in picking up the course, head over to purposeproperty.com.au and click on course. The mantra I'm living by at the moment is make one good property decision to make your money back. If you're willing to spend for a buyer's agent's fee or spend some money on a course, that one good decision can make you your money back tenfold. If we help you execute on the right deal, that's where a buyer's agent can be a lot of value. Now, you may go out and do this yourself, like Emily and I have done. Actually, that's not quite true. The first property we bought, we did use a buyer's agent essentially to help us buy that deal. And so if someone like myself can help you take action, or you can pick up a course and that enables you to extend your knowledge and go further faster, that's where paying for the right things can be absolutely worth it. Of course, I'm going to continue to make free content and share and be open, honest, and transparent here on the YouTube channel. So if you could do me a huge favor and like this video and subscribe to the channel. I don't know if anyone else out there is sharing this type of information, so it would be awesome if you could do that for me. And also, YouTube really thinks you'll like this video, so you should definitely give that one a click. Thanks for sticking around to the end. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.